with me here. I know we're jumping all over the place, from theology to neuroscience to physics to back to theology again. Just stay with me. Hopefully it'll make sense soon. In neuroscience, a lot of scientists believe that our brains actually function to a certain degree on a quantum level, which would explain why we understand so little about the brain at this point, because that's really small. If this is the case, then it is reasonable to think that our brains make decisions that are somewhat randomized in the same way that the electron being in all kinds of places at the same time is randomized. If that's the case, then any sort of God that wanted to give its creation free will would not be interacting with really small particles such as electrons. And the reason it wouldn't be interacting with these things is because the second you interact with these things, you're forcing, basically, to word it best I can, every mind in the universe to only think in one possible train of thought. It can't have a bunch of different possibilities. Basically, I know that was all really confusing. To word it in a different way, I think that the reason that electrons don't only exist in one place at once is the same reason that we have free will. I think it's because some omnipresent being or interactor or whatever you want to call it doesn't want to collapse everything in the universe down to one state. And the reason they don't want to do that is they want to give the things in the universe the option to pick their own path. I know that this has been a really complicated and weird roundabout way of thinking. But basically, to summarize everything that I just said, what I'm trying to say is that as we understand physics right now, and as best I can reason, either we have to our universe has to exist in every possible state at the same time, or there has to be some kind of outside interactor. If there's some kind of outside interactor, either it has to be just another force or it has to be some sort of God. And if it's just some other force, then electrons and the like should collapse. And electrons and the like do not collapse into one state. They exist in all kinds of places at once. And that leaves us with the option that it is some sort of God. And if it is some sort of God, then we have to find a reason why he doesn't want all of these electrons to collapse into one state. And the reason why I think that this God doesn't want all of the electrons to collapse into one state and all of the other small particles to do that is because he wants to give the things in the universe the option to pick their own path, which I believe is free will. Just as a small tangent to back up my argument a little bit here, if I were some sort of omnipresent being and I wanted to try to explain what I am to a group of people, I would probably emphasize, as I said, that I am omnipresent, which I would say that I am everywhere, that I am all-powerful, all-knowing, all-everything. I would also probably emphasize the point that I'm unchanging, which I might word in a way such as I am the same through the ages. I am the solid rock. You can rely upon me to, not change. And lastly, I would explain myself, the entity of what I am, as existence itself. So if someone asks me my name per se, my response might be, I am. For those of you who haven't caught on yet, that's exactly how God describes himself in the Bible. And I realize that there are probably going to be a lot of different people of a lot of different beliefs watching this video. And that's perfectly fine. Everyone can have a different opinion on every subject, and it's their choice to make their decisions. I'm not going to stop you or try to argue that you're stupid to come to some sort of conclusion. All that I'm saying is that there is a model of the universe that I have just explained in which it makes much more sense for a God that behaves similarly to the one in the Bible to exist than for that God not to exist. And if you don't believe in that God, then I would suggest that you don't dismiss it as unreasonable. Because I understand that a lot of the things in the Bible don't seem reasonable at first glance. I mean, if I remember correctly, there are a lot of talking animals involved, and Samson beats 1,000 Philistines to death with a jawbone. I mean, there are a lot of things that don't seem very reasonable. A guy comes back to life, for heaven's sake. But I would say that if you don't believe in this, please give it a little bit more thought. Because if you look at the universe and the way that it behaves, I wouldn't believe that either. It just seems completely unreasonable. I mean, you're trying to tell me that things exist in all kinds of places at once, that time moves at different speeds at different places, that stuff can move to higher levels of energy just to get to a lower level of energy and go into negative energies and all that. We find out all that stuff is true because of quantum physics. And it doesn't seem to be what is reasonable to a human at first glance. And so I would argue that even though what's in the Bible doesn't seem correct and doesn't seem reasonable at first glance, give it some thought and try to think about it empirically without just dismissing things as unreasonable before you give them the credit they deserve. I'm not saying that you should just convert to Christianity because I said so. Do the research on your own, think about it, and try to be neutral instead of just dismissing everything. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you want me to do more videos like this, then tell me to do it in the comments. If you thought this was horrible and boring and I should never do this again, tell me that in the comments, and I won't. I do this for you guys. That's basically the point. I know there aren't a whole lot of you people watching, and I don't really mind that. It's just something for me to do in my free time, and I'm just here to try to make you guys happy. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.